A question from the sky. Imagine standing in an ancient desert more than 2,000 years ago. There are no airplanes, no satellites, no rockets. Only the stars above you. And then something appears in the sky. Not a star, not a comet, but a glowing object moving in ways the natural world cannot explain. For ancient civilizations, the sky was the realm of gods. So when something strange appeared above them, they did the only thing they could. They wrote about it. They carved it into stone. They painted it on temple walls. Across the ancient world, from Mesopotamia to Egypt, from Greece to China, there are stories, carvings, and artifacts that describe mysterious flying objects, beings descending from the heavens, and technologies that seemed far beyond human capability. Were these simply myths, or could they be the misunderstood records of something real? Tonight, we explore one of history's most controversial mysteries, the possibility that long before modern UFO sightings, Earth may have already been visited. When the gods came from the sky. To understand this mystery, we must first travel to ancient Mesopotamia, one of the earliest cradles of civilization. More than 5,000 years ago, the Sumerians developed writing, astronomy, mathematics, and complex cities. But their texts describe something strange. According to ancient tablets, powerful beings known as the Anunnaki descended from the heavens to Earth. These beings were described as teachers. They gave humans knowledge of agriculture. They taught writing. They introduced laws and science. In Sumerian stories, the gods did not simply exist in the sky. They traveled between heaven and earth. Some researchers believe the descriptions of these journeys resemble flying machines. In certain translations, the gods arrive in vehicles described as heavenly chariots or boats of the sky. To ancient people who had never seen aircraft, this may have been the closest language they could use. But were these simply symbolic stories, or ancient attempts to describe technology beyond their understanding? The sky objects of ancient Egypt. Now we move west to the great civilization of ancient Egypt. Egyptian mythology is filled with references to gods who descended from the sky. But one particular record has fascinated researchers for decades. A mysterious ancient text, sometimes called the Tully Papyrus, allegedly describes a strange event during the reign of Thutmose III, around 1480 BC. According to the account, fiery discs appeared in the sky. Witnesses described glowing objects flying across the heavens. They were silent. They moved faster than birds, and they shone brighter than the sun. The report claims these objects hovered above the sky before ascending and disappearing. Some historians argue the document may not be authentic. Others believe it could represent one of the earliest recorded UFO sightings in human history. Regardless of interpretation, the story highlights a pattern repeated across cultures. Strange things in the sky were recorded long before modern technology existed. Flying shields of ancient Rome. Jump forward to the classical world of ancient Rome. Roman historians were known for their detailed records of unusual events, and some of those records describe strange aerial phenomena. The Roman historian Livy wrote about mysterious shields seen flying across the sky. Witnesses claimed these shining objects moved through the air like blazing metal discs. Other Roman texts describe glowing lights darting through the heavens. To ancient observers, such objects were often interpreted as divine signs.
But when modern readers revisit these texts, the descriptions sometimes sound surprisingly familiar. Round shapes, bright lights, unusual movement. It raises an unsettling thought. Perhaps unexplained aerial phenomena are not just a modern phenomenon. Maybe humans have been witnessing them for thousands of years. The mysterious artifacts. Beyond stories and texts, some researchers point to unusual ancient objects that seem technologically advanced for their time. One of the most famous examples is the Baghdad Battery. Discovered near modern Baghdad, this artifact dates to around 250 BC. It consists of a clay jar containing a copper cylinder and an iron rod. Some scientists believe it could function as a primitive electrical battery. If true, this would suggest ancient civilizations understood electrical principles far earlier than previously thought. Then there is the Antikythera mechanism, a complex gear-driven device discovered in a shipwreck near the island of Antikythera. Built around 200 BC, the device can predict eclipses and planetary movements. Its precision mechanical engineering would not appear again for more than 1,000 years. Some researchers see such artifacts as evidence of lost human knowledge. Others wonder if ancient civilizations received help from outside Earth. The mysterious sky art. Across the world, ancient art sometimes appears to depict objects that resemble flying machines. In the Sahara Desert, prehistoric cave paintings show disc-shaped figures hovering over people. In India, ancient Sanskrit texts describe flying vehicles called vimana. These craft were said to travel through the sky and even into space. Some descriptions include metallic structures, propulsion systems, and complex flight paths. Skeptics argue these descriptions are symbolic mythology, but others see them as something more intriguing. Perhaps ancient observers were recording real phenomena using the language of myth.
Ancient astronomers and the cosmic connection. One thing is certain. Ancient civilizations were deeply connected to the sky. The builders of Stonehenge aligned massive stones with the movement of the sun. The pyramids of Giza appear to align with specific stars. Ancient cultures tracked planetary motion with remarkable precision. This raises another fascinating possibility. What if early astronomers observed something unusual moving among the stars? Something they interpreted as divine visitors or cosmic messengers. If such events occurred thousands of years ago, they would have been recorded not with scientific terminology, but with the language of gods. The line between myth and history. Today, most historians remain cautious. There is no direct scientific evidence proving extraterrestrial visitors in ancient times. Many artifacts once considered mysterious have logical explanations, and mythology often exaggerates real events. But the persistence of these stories across cultures is difficult to ignore. Civilizations separated by oceans told similar stories. Beings from the sky, flying vehicles, knowledge brought from the heavens. Whether these tales represent misunderstood natural phenomena, lost human knowledge, or something truly extraordinary, the mystery remains. The ancient sky connection in China. Thousands of miles away from the Mediterranean world, ancient Chinese scholars were also watching the sky carefully. In imperial China, court astronomers were tasked with observing celestial events and recording anything unusual. Many of these records survived in historical chronicles. One text from the Han Dynasty describes strange glowing objects moving across the heavens. Witnesses described luminous spheres hovering silently above cities before suddenly accelerating into the distance. Other records mention stars that moved like birds or lights that changed direction in the sky. To ancient observers, these events were often interpreted as omens. Heaven was believed to communicate with Earth through celestial signs. But modern researchers examining these descriptions have noticed something intriguing. Many of these ancient accounts resemble modern reports of unidentified aerial phenomena. Objects moving silently, changing direction suddenly, disappearing into the sky. If such events were occurring thousands of years ago, it would suggest that unexplained aerial phenomena are not unique to modern times. They may have been part of human history for millennia. The mystery of ancient maps. Another puzzle comes from ancient cartography. In 1513, an Ottoman admiral named Piri Reis created a map that shocked historians centuries later. Known today as the Piri Reis map, it appears to show parts of the world with surprising accuracy. Some researchers believe parts of the map resemble the coastline of Antarctica, a continent officially discovered more than 300 years later. Even more surprising, the map appears to depict Antarctica without ice. If true, this would mean the original source maps may have been created thousands of years earlier. Some researchers suggest the map was copied from ancient civilizations with advanced geographic knowledge. Others speculate more extraordinary possibilities. Could ancient observers have seen Earth from above? Most historians reject this idea, arguing the map may simply be a combination of older Mediterranean charts. Still, the mystery remains. Ancient knowledge sometimes appears far more advanced than expected. The Nazca Sky Connection. High above the desert plains of Peru lies one of the greatest mysteries of ancient engineering. The massive geoglyphs, known as the Nazca Lines, stretch across more than 50 kilometers of desert. Gigantic drawings of animals, geometric shapes, and perfectly straight lines. Some figures are hundreds of meters long. The strange part? They are nearly impossible to recognize from the ground. Their full shapes only become visible from high above. The people who created them belonged to the Nazca culture, which flourished between 200 BC and 600 AD. Why would an ancient culture create giant designs only visible from the sky? Some archaeologists believe the lines were ritual pathways connected to water ceremonies. Others believe they may have had astronomical significance. But the question remains, why make images meant to be seen from above when no one could fly? Some researchers speculate the Nazca people were communicating with sky gods. Others wonder whether the lines may have been intended as signals to something or someone in the sky. Ancient texts that sound surprisingly modern. Throughout ancient literature, there are descriptions that sound surprisingly technological. In India, ancient Sanskrit epics describe flying machines called vimana. These vehicles were said to travel great distances through the sky. Some texts describe them as made of metal. Others describe weapons that emitted powerful beams of light. Historians generally interpret these descriptions as mythological storytelling, but some passages describe details that feel oddly mechanical. Navigation systems, flight paths, energy sources. Whether symbolic or literal, these descriptions reveal something fascinating about ancient imagination. Long before airplanes existed, humans were already envisioning machines capable of flight. Could ancient people have misunderstood what they saw? Perhaps the most important question is not whether aliens visited Earth, but whether ancient humans might have witnessed natural phenomena they did not understand. Comets, meteor showers, ball lightning, atmospheric plasma. All of these can create strange lights in the sky. Without modern science, such events could easily be interpreted as supernatural. But there is another possibility. Ancient observers may have recorded real events using symbolic language.
A glowing craft might be described as a fiery chariot. A hovering object might be called a divine shield. A bright beam of light might be described as a weapon of the gods. In other words, ancient texts may not be literal descriptions, but translations of experiences filtered through mythology. The human need to look up. Across every civilization in history, humans have always looked toward the sky. The sky inspired religion, astronomy, navigation, calendars, and stories about visitors from the heavens. Whether those visitors were gods, spirits, or imagined beings, they reflected something deeply human, our curiosity about what lies beyond Earth. Even today, with telescopes scanning distant galaxies and spacecraft exploring other planets, we still ask the same question our ancestors asked thousands of years ago. Are we alone?
The ancient astronaut theory. In the mid-20th century, a controversial idea began spreading among researchers and writers. It became known as the ancient astronaut theory. This theory suggests something radical. Not that aliens arrived recently, but that they have been visiting Earth for thousands of years. One of the most famous proponents was Erich von Däniken, whose book, Chariots of the Gods, argued that many ancient structures and myths were influenced by extraterrestrial visitors. According to this theory, early humans did not simply imagine gods, they encountered advanced beings whose technology looked divine. To a civilization thousands of years ago, a spacecraft descending from the sky would appear exactly like what ancient texts describe, a flying chariot of fire. Impossible technology in ancient times? Supporters of this idea often point to ancient engineering mysteries, structures that seem too advanced for their time. For example, the Great Pyramid of Giza. Built around 2560 BC, yet it contains over 2.3 million stone blocks, many weighing several tons. Even today, experts debate exactly how the ancient Egyptians moved them with such precision. But the pyramid is only one example. Across the world, we find similar mysteries. In Peru, there are massive geometric lines carved into the desert, visible only from the sky. These are known as the Nazca lines. Gigantic images of animals, spirals, and geometric shapes stretch for miles across the desert floor. They were created between 500 BC and 500 AD. But here's the strange part. From the ground, they make almost no sense. Only when viewed from the air do the designs become clear, which raises an unsettling question. Why would an ancient civilization create artwork designed to be seen from the sky? Some researchers believe the Nazca lines may have been landing markers, communication symbols, or signals meant for beings above the earth. The sky gods of ancient cultures. Strangely, the idea of beings descending from the sky appears again and again in ancient myths. Civilizations separated by thousands of miles, yet telling eerily similar stories. In ancient Mesopotamia, the Sumerians word about the Anunnaki, powerful beings who descended from the heavens and taught humans knowledge. According to ancient tablets, the Anunnaki brought mathematics, astronomy, architecture, and agriculture, almost as if they were teachers to early humanity. Meanwhile, in Mesoamerica, the Maya described the feathered serpent god Kukulkan, a being said to have arrived from the sky, bringing wisdom and advanced knowledge. In ancient Egypt, the god Ra traveled across the heavens in a solar boat, and in India, ancient texts describe flying machines called vimana. These flying vehicles appear in texts like the Mahabharata and Ramayana. Descriptions of vimana include hovering aircraft, glowing propulsion systems, and weapons capable of destroying entire cities. Descriptions that sound surprisingly similar to modern aircraft or advanced technology. Coincidence? Or something more? The mystery of ancient astronomical knowledge.
Ancient civilizations also possessed astonishing knowledge of the cosmos, long before telescopes existed. For example, the Maya created one of the most accurate calendars in human history. It tracked solar cycles, lunar phases, and planetary movements with incredible precision. Meanwhile, in Egypt, the pyramids appear aligned with the constellation Orion. Many researchers believe the layout of the Giza pyramid complex mirrors the stars of Orion's belt. If true, it means the builders had detailed astronomical knowledge. But how? Without telescopes? Without modern instruments? Some theorists suggest the knowledge was given to them, passed down by visitors from the stars. Ancient art that looks modern. Perhaps the most unsettling evidence comes from ancient artwork itself. Across the world, carvings and paintings show figures that look strangely familiar. Figures wearing what appear to be helmets, breathing apparatus, and protective suits. One example is found in the tomb of Pakal the Great at the ancient city of Palenque. The lid of his sarcophagus shows a figure inside what some interpret as a machine, with hands positioned as if operating controls, feet resting on pedals, flames or energy blasting beneath him. To many archaeologists, it's symbolic imagery, but to others, it looks eerily similar to an astronaut piloting a spacecraft. The Baghdad Battery. Another mysterious artifact comes from ancient Mesopotamia, a small clay jar discovered near Baghdad. Inside the jar, a copper cylinder, an iron rod, and traces of acidic liquid. When recreated by scientists, the device produces electricity. This artifact is known as the Baghdad Battery, estimated to be over 2,000 years old. If it truly functioned as a battery, it suggests ancient people may have understood electrical principles long before modern science. But again, historians debate the purpose. Was it used for electroplating, religious rituals, or something else entirely? A pattern across time. Individually, each of these mysteries has possible explanations, but together they form a pattern. Ancient texts describing sky beings, structures built with impossible precision, art showing strange technology, astronomical knowledge far ahead of its time, across continents, across cultures, across thousands of years, and always with one common theme. Something came from the sky. The question that changes everything. But here's the real question. If visitors from another world truly did arrive thousands of years ago, where did they go? Did they leave? Or did they not leave? Or perhaps they're still here, watching, observing, waiting, hidden somewhere in the vast silence of our planet, or perhaps just beyond it.
When the sky was recorded in stone. Long before cameras, before telescopes, before modern science even existed, ancient humans were already documenting what they saw in the sky. Not with photographs, but with stone, paint, and symbols. And some of those ancient records are deeply unsettling, because what they depict looks shockingly similar to what modern people call UFOs, the cave paintings that shouldn't exist. Deep inside caves across the world, archaeologists have discovered paintings thousands of years old. Many show animals, hunting scenes, and daily life, but others show something far stranger. In the caves of Tassili Nunjer in Algeria, researchers discovered a massive collection of prehistoric rock paintings. Some date back over 8,000 years. Among these paintings are figures unlike anything found in ordinary prehistoric art. Large humanoid shapes, with round heads, elongated bodies, and what appear to be helmet-like structures. One famous figure is often called the Great Martian God. The figure has a huge circular head, massive eyes, and what looks like a suit surrounding its body. Many archaeologists interpret it as a ritual mask,
But others believe it may represent something ancient humans actually witnessed, something that came from the sky. The wandering discs of ancient art. Similar mysterious shapes appear in ancient carvings around the world. Stone reliefs sometimes show disc-shaped objects hovering above cities or rulers. In ancient Chinese records, there are descriptions of flying pearls or glowing spheres that moved silently across the sky. These glowing objects were sometimes described as changing direction instantly, glowing brighter than the moon, hovering without wings. Descriptions that sound surprisingly similar to modern UFO sightings. The Vimanas, flying machines of the ancient world. One of the most detailed descriptions of ancient flying machines appears in ancient Indian texts. These vehicles are called Vimana. According to the Mahabharata, Vimanas could rise vertically into the sky, travel vast distances, and move at incredible speeds. Some passages even describe weapons launched from these flying machines. One section of the Mahabharata describes a weapon so powerful it created a blinding light brighter than 1,000 suns. The blast produced intense heat and devastated the surrounding land. Some researchers believe the description resembles a nuclear explosion, though historians caution that ancient texts often use poetic language. Still, the descriptions remain strangely vivid. The golden aircraft of Colombia. In South America, archaeologists discovered tiny golden artifacts created by the ancient Quimbaya civilization. These artifacts date back roughly 1,000 years. They are small, just a few centimeters long, but their shapes are incredibly strange. They look exactly like modern airplanes. Triangular wings, vertical tail stabilizers, aerodynamic bodies. These artifacts are known as the Quimbaya artifacts. When engineers built scaled-up models based on their shapes, the replicas actually flew successfully, which raises a fascinating question. Why would an ancient culture create objects shaped like aerodynamic aircraft? Was it coincidence or inspiration from something they saw in the sky? Ancient maps that shouldn't exist. Another strange mystery comes from ancient maps. In 1513, an Ottoman admiral named Piri Reis created a world map. Today, it is known as the Piri Reis map. The map shows parts of South and West Africa with remarkable accuracy. But the most controversial part is what appears to be Antarctica. Antarctica was officially discovered centuries later. Even more strange, some researchers claim the map depicts Antarctica without its ice cover, which would mean the source information could be thousands of years old. If true, where did this ancient geographic knowledge come from? Some believe the map may have been based on much older lost civilizations. Others wonder if knowledge of the Earth was once seen from far above the planet. The sky battle of ancient Rome. One of the earliest recorded UFO encounters appears in Roman historical texts. The Roman historian Pliny the Elder documented strange celestial events in the sky. But one of the most fascinating accounts comes from Julius Obsequens. In his writings, he describes round shields flying across the sky. These objects were described as glowing, moving rapidly, and appearing suddenly. The Roman phrase used to describe them was clippe ardentes, meaning burning shields. Some historians believe the term simply describes meteors, but the descriptions sometimes include objects changing direction, which meteors cannot do. Are these just misunderstandings? Of course, there are skeptics. Many scientists argue these mysteries have simpler explanations. Ancient artwork may be symbolic. Myths may simply be storytelling. Unusual artifacts may be misunderstood or misinterpreted. And yet, some mysteries remain unsolved. Because the deeper researchers dig into ancient history, the more strange clues they uncover. Clues suggesting that ancient humans may have witnessed something extraordinary.
something that appeared in the sky, something they tried to record in the only way they could, through myth, through art, through stone. A thought that changes everything. Imagine living thousands of years ago. No electricity, no airplanes, no satellites, no knowledge of other planets. Then suddenly, a glowing object appears in the sky, descending silently, landing on the Earth. Inside are beings unlike anything you've ever seen. What would you call them? You wouldn't call them aliens. You wouldn't call them extraterrestrials. You would call them gods. And that may be the key. Perhaps ancient people weren't inventing myths. Perhaps they were simply describing encounters they could not understand. Encounters with visitors whose technology appeared magical. Visitors who came from the stars. Visitors who may have changed human history forever. But there is one final mystery. Because even if ancient aliens did visit Earth, there is a question historians rarely ask. What if they didn't just visit? What if they helped build something? Something enormous, something ancient, something still standing today. A structure that has puzzled scientists for centuries. A structure aligned with the stars. A structure built with impossible precision. The most famous monument of the ancient world. The pyramids.
The structures that shouldn't exist. Across the deserts of Egypt, towering above the sands of time, stand some of the most mysterious structures ever built by human hands. The pyramids. For thousands of years, travelers have stood before them and asked the same question. How were they built? The most famous of all is the Great Pyramid of Giza, constructed around 2560 BC during the reign of the pharaoh Khufu. It originally stood nearly 146 meters tall, and it remained the tallest structure on Earth for more than 3,800 years. But the true mystery isn't its size, its precision. Precision that defies the ancient world. The Great Pyramid contains approximately 2.3 million stone blocks. Some of these blocks weigh between 2 and 80 tons. They were transported, cut, and assembled with astonishing accuracy. In fact, the base of the pyramid is almost perfectly level. The four sides align almost exactly with the cardinal directions: north, south, east, and west. The margin of error is less than a fraction of a degree. Even modern engineers admit that achieving this level of precision without advanced tools would be incredibly difficult. But there's something even stranger. The pyramid and the stars. When researchers studied the layout of the pyramids at Giza, they discovered something remarkable. The three main pyramids appear to align with the stars of Orion's belt. This idea became widely known as the Orion correlation theory. It suggests that the pyramids mirror the position of the three stars in Orion's belt as they appeared in the sky thousands of years ago. In ancient Egyptian belief, the constellation Orion was associated with the god Osiris. The pyramids, therefore, may have symbolized a connection between Earth and the heavens. But some researchers wonder if the alignment might have served another purpose. Perhaps the pyramids were not just tombs. Perhaps they were markers pointing toward the stars, or even messages left behind by a civilization with deep astronomical knowledge. The internal mystery of the pyramid. Inside the Great Pyramid are a series of narrow shafts. For centuries, their purpose remained unclear. These shafts are not ventilation systems, and they do not lead directly outside in a simple way. Instead, they appear to point toward specific stars. Two shafts point toward the region of Orion. Others align with Sirius, which was sacred in ancient Egyptian mythology. Why would ancient builders design hidden channels pointing toward distant stars? Was it symbolic, religious, or something more technological? The energy theory. One of the most controversial ideas about the pyramids is that they may have been energy structures. Some researchers believe the pyramid's shape could concentrate natural energy fields. Others point to the materials used. The pyramid contains large amounts of limestone, granite, and quartz. Quartz crystals are known to produce electrical charges when pressure is applied. This phenomenon is known as piezoelectricity. Some theorists suggest that vibrations within the pyramid could have produced measurable electrical effects. Could the pyramid have been an ancient energy generator? Most mainstream scientists reject this idea, but the theory continues to fascinate researchers, because the pyramids clearly represent engineering knowledge far beyond what many expect from the ancient world. Knowledge that disappeared. Perhaps the most puzzling part of the pyramid mystery is what happened afterward. Because after the pyramid building era ended, human construction methods actually became less advanced. Later Egyptian pyramids were smaller, less precise, and eventually pyramid construction stopped entirely. If the ancient Egyptians truly possessed this incredible knowledge, why did it vanish? Why wasn't it passed down? Some historians suggest knowledge may have been lost during periods of political collapse or cultural change. But others wonder if something else happened. Perhaps the builders of the Great Pyramid possessed knowledge that did not originate entirely on Earth. The global pyramid pattern. Egypt is not the only place where pyramid-like structures appear. Across the planet, similar shapes appear in ancient civilizations. In Mexico, the ancient city of Teotihuacan contains enormous pyramids dedicated to the sun and the moon. In Central America, the Maya built massive stepped pyramids like Chichen Itza. Even in China, enormous pyramid-shaped tombs have been discovered near the ancient city of Xi'an. These cultures developed independently, separated by oceans and continents, yet many built similar pyramid structures aligned with astronomical events. How did so many civilizations arrive at the same architectural concept? Some researchers believe the pyramid shape may be simply the most stable structure for building large monuments, but others see a deeper connection, a shared knowledge, or perhaps a shared influence. The visitors from the stars. This brings us back to the central question. If advanced beings once visited Earth, could they have shared knowledge with ancient humans? Knowledge of mathematics, astronomy, engineering. Knowledge that allowed early civilizations to achieve incredible feats. Knowledge that may have faded as those visitors disappeared. It's a controversial idea, but throughout history, myths repeatedly describe beings who descended from the sky. Beings who taught humanity new skills. Beings who were remembered as gods. A planet watched from above. Today, humanity is finally exploring space ourselves. We have satellites orbiting the Earth, space stations floating above the atmosphere, probes traveling to distant planets, and telescopes searching the universe for signs of life. For the first time in human history, we are becoming the kind of civilization that ancient people might have mistaken for gods. Which leads to an astonishing thought. If we are capable of visiting other worlds, then perhaps other civilizations, far older and more advanced, may have done the same. Perhaps long before recorded history began. Perhaps when humanity was still in its earliest stages. Perhaps when ancient humans looked up at the sky and saw something descend from the stars.
The ancient question that still echoes. As night falls across the deserts, mountains, and oceans of our planet, the same sky that ancient civilizations once studied slowly fills with stars. Thousands of years ago, people stood beneath this very sky. They watched the stars move across the darkness. They tracked the cycles of the moon. They built monuments aligned with the heavens. And sometimes they recorded something unexpected. Strange lights moving across the sky, fiery disks hovering above cities, flying chariots descending from the clouds. To them, these were not machines. They were messages from the gods. But today, with our modern understanding of the universe, we interpret those stories differently. We know that the cosmos is vast. Our galaxy alone, the Milky Way, contains hundreds of billions of stars. And beyond it, there are trillions of other galaxies scattered across the observable universe. Within that unimaginable cosmic ocean, scientists now believe that billions of planets may exist in conditions capable of supporting life. Which means one simple truth becomes harder to ignore. If life emerged here on Earth, it may have emerged elsewhere as well. And if even a small fraction of those civilizations developed advanced technology, some of them could be millions of years older than humanity. Civilizations capable of crossing the enormous distances between stars. Civilizations capable of visiting distant worlds. Worlds like ours. When we look back at ancient history through this lens, many mysteries take on a new perspective. The ancient carvings of strange figures, the myths of sky gods descending to Earth, the unexplained artifacts and impossible structures. Perhaps they are simply the result of human imagination, stories shaped by culture, religion, and myth. But perhaps they are something else. Perhaps they are memories. Fragments of encounters so extraordinary that ancient people struggled to describe them. Encounters that were preserved not in scientific language, but in legends. Stories passed down across generations. Stories carved into stone. Stories painted on cave walls deep beneath the earth. And today, as humanity begins its own journey into space, we may finally be approaching the moment when we can answer the question our ancestors could only wonder about. Are we truly alone? Or have we been part of a much larger story all along? A story written across the stars. A story that may have begun long before recorded history, when the first mysterious lights appeared in the ancient sky. So the next time you look up at the night sky, remember this. The same stars you see tonight were seen by people thousands of years ago. The same sky watched over the builders of pyramids, the astronomers of ancient China, the storytellers of Mesopotamia, and the artists who painted strange figures on cave walls deep beneath the earth. All of them looked upward with the same question. A question humanity is still asking today. Who or what might be watching back? If you enjoyed this deep dive into one of history's greatest mysteries, don't forget to like, subscribe, and join us again as we explore more enigmas hidden in the ancient past. Because sometimes the greatest mysteries of the future are actually buried in the deepest secrets of our past.